Hello everybody, my name is Katie, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I have a more informational video that is not going to be for everyone. It's basically going to be a video about my experience during pharmacy school and advice that I have to any people starting, and kind of like what helped me, because I'm a P2 right now, and in my program it's only 3 years of pharmacy school, so that means I'm going to be going to Appies in a month since it's July. So that's a little scary, but it's also very exciting. I am super excited. But throughout the 2 years that I've done didactics, I've realized a lot of things, and I'm gonna share that with you guys. So if I do look kind of like off into the distance, it's because I have notes on my computer that I'm gonna be making sure that I don't miss any important points that I want to go over today. So let's just go ahead and get started today. So the first category, I split this up into 2 different sections. The first one's gonna be studying, because that's a huge part of pharmacy school. So yes, get ready to study a lot. I generally study around 12 hours a day. My highest record, at least that I have recorded, is like 17 hours. So yeah, I'm a little extreme, and I know there's people doing just fine studying less than me, so don't stress. It kind of just all depends on how you learn. Personally, for me, I need to go over things a lot for them to stick, and I might also be a little bit of a try-hard, but that's fine. But to study, like how I track my hours is by using an app called YPT, and this is a really good app to encourage productivity, especially with friends. So it's kind of like you're in a study group with your friends, and you can make this group with your friends, and then anytime you press study on a subject, you're automatically studying in that group, and then your friends can kind of see, you know, how much you studied in a day. So it keeps you accountable, and you're kind of like, oh, you know, this friend is studying, I should probably study too. So I think it's a really good way to study. But the main thing is to determine what method works best for you. I noticed a large increase in my grades when I woke up earlier to start studying rather than going to bed later. This allows me to have a consistent schedule so that I can wake up early before exams, so that information's fresh in my brain for those exams. So for my program, we have exams weekly, every single Friday. And even for the P1s right now, actually that schedule has changed, but just it's important to take into part your schedule and determine what works best for you. Because I realized getting up earlier, my brain works better than, you know, staying up to like 2-3 a.m. So yeah, but let me just kind of walk you through how I study. Luckily, it really helped that all lectures this semester have been recorded, so I would watch them at 2 times speed to save time, and then just take notes on literally everything the professor says. In the past though, there were classes that just didn't post recordings, so I just kind of had to rely on what I could catch in class, but it's really helpful when they are recorded because I'm able to go through them at extra speed to save time and then make sure I catch everything, because, you know, anything they could say is fair game for the test. And then after, I would type out my notes on a Word doc, kind of formatted in an easy way for me to understand. So it has a lot to do with like spatial recognition and kind of digesting the material and seeing, you know, you have to be able to understand it in order to put it in your own words and in your own format. So that's one way to kind of get the information in your brain. And then I just retype like crazy. So there's like keywords on my Word doc for like headings. So when I scroll just enough to see that keyword, I have to type out everything about that keyword. And things that I miss, I take note of. And then when I go back through it again, I make sure I get it right. This like method of active recall has helped me a bunch. Basically just creating study guides, organizing in a way that helps me out, and then testing myself on that information. I used to use Quizlet. I still do for occasional things, kind of like brand generic and that kind of stuff that, you know, requires flashcards. but I don't really use Quizlet too much anymore, and it's changed for a lot of things for like paid features. So I tried Anki, which is a little complicated, but a lot of people swear by it. It still worked fine, but I found for me that the study guide method has helped a lot more with like spatial memorization. I could see like in the tables that I make, like, you know, where each thing is, and that kind of helps me remember it. But it all just does kind of depend on what works best for you. So what I do also is I plan out how many lectures I need to complete in a day in order to reach my goal, and then stick to that schedule. And then generally I like to leave at least half of the last day, so for me that's Thursday, as well as the morning of the exam, Friday, to review everything. So I would want to finish studying everything before Thursday midday. That way the rest of the time I just review everything. And it's important to give yourselves breaks, even though you are going to be studying a lot. I allow myself, for example, the day of exams, like after the exam obviously, to relax. And then I also do take it a little bit easier on the weekends than on the weekdays. I still study on the weekends, but not as intensely as I do on the weekdays. If you don't do that, like for example, like our schedule, you know, it's every single Friday. Like we don't have a break. So it can get pretty tiring and it'll cause burnout if you're just studying 24/7. And just giving yourself that little break, like on Friday, for me, it allows me to have something to look forward to. So I know once I take the exam on Friday, I can do whatever I want. I can do anything. I don't have to touch any school. And that just kind of helps motivate me throughout the week, just to have that one day where I don't have to do it. In the past though, I did used to be a little bit more spread out with my breaks, but like study less often. So like study the same amount, but just in different time periods. But I found that kind of is tiring and gets me burnt out. I think it's better for me to give myself the one day. There's just a lot of benefits in doing that. And then I just make it up throughout the week by studying more, if that makes sense. So I study more during the week, less during the weekends, instead of the same amount all throughout, but it ends up being the same. Anyways, that concludes my studying section. If you have any questions about that, you can also like feel free to let me know. I will try to answer them the best of my abilities. But I'm gonna move on now to the leadership and extracurriculars and volunteering section. These things are very highly recommended. Not only is it a CV booster, but it also helps you more. It also helps you meet more people and learn outside of the classroom as well. I would recommend taking advantage of these when you can. These, as we're in like university, these are unique opportunities that you may not have after you graduate from farm school. So I think it's important to take advantage of all you can right now, because you're paying a lot for this education, you know? You might as well try to do as much as you can. So I'm involved in a pharmacy fraternity, and that has allowed me to make a lot of friends right off the bat. I actually joined this in my last year of undergrad, and I am going to a school where, you know, undergrad and grad, you can go to the same school, like through a special program. So that has allowed me to make a lot of friends who were already in pharmacy school, actually, before I was in pharmacy school. So it was a super cool like resource to have as well, just if you need help with anything, or even if you just need people to like de-stress with. Most of the closest friends I actually have in farm school came through the fraternity, so it's a great friend maker. Also, there are various positions within the fraternity for leadership. I've had experience with historian and PR committee representative. I've been in the fraternity for 2 like whole years. I'm on my 3rd, so I've had those 2 positions in my 2 whole years. And then there's also various committees you can join with different specialties. So like a couple examples would be like diabetes, cardio, cancer, medication safety, committees that specialize with children. The one I was in is actually temporarily inactive because there's just not enough members anymore, which is kind of sad. But there's a lot of committees available. Join whatever interests you. It'll help further your career and you can learn more about that subject. Also, something that I did in undergrad and I continued in pharmacy school is research. It has opened a lot of doors for me. So ask your professors what they're researching, if it's something that interests you, and if they are accepting students, and if they have any abilities, I would recommend joining. great experiences, great opportunities. Another opportunity that you could do is maybe being a course liaison. I'm sure there's similar, maybe it's not the exact same title, but something similar for other schools. But basically, I'm just representative of a certain course, and I just have to go to like a couple meetings throughout the semester, talk about what works best and what doesn't, and then just responding to some emails from the professor. So a couple examples of that is my professor was making a toxicology lecture, and she wanted to know, what other lectures of toxicology related things we've had for like acetaminophen overdose. So I went through the lectures that I sent her the PowerPoint slides, and I kind of showed her like, this is the exposure that we've had already, so that she can kind of build on that and not be redundant, if that makes sense. So it's a super easy job, and it's a great way to also get close to a professor and do more leadership. So another thing is to volunteer at health fairs. I've done various health fairs, such as like COVID and flu vaccines clinics and Medicare, and actually I did just do a VM Cares health fair yesterday. It's really good to stay involved and help out the local community, and then also it's really great because you learn a lot from applying what you've learned in the classroom into action, and I find that's what makes things stick. So I found health fairs, although very tiring, to be very helpful. And just volunteer any chance you get, even if it's not, technically like pharmacy related or clinic related. I was a learning facilitator for advancing pre-pharm students. I also was a part of mentor-mentee clinics to help pre-pharmacy students advance into pharmacy school and kind of give them advice. It's really good to get yourself out there, help others who'll be going through the same position as you, which I hope this video is doing. But some non-pharmacy related things I also did too, like volunteering at a nearby homeless shelter or an animal shelter. Anything to, help your local community shows that you care, because pharmacy is like a caring profession, so that's also important as well. But also, it's important to keep in mind to not bite off more than you can chew. It's important to keep your grades up, but so that you're able to, hold these leadership positions, because a lot of schools have a minimum GPA requirement to keep positions. So if you aren't sure how much you can handle, I'd recommend taking it easy at first. At least that's what I did. In my P1 year, I was only a part of the fraternity and then a committee, along with like volunteering at, various health fairs. But in my P2 year, I decided to add on a couple more things like research, course liaison, and then also the other volunteering opportunities like learning facilitator and like that kind of stuff. So it's always better, I think, to take it a little slower so that you're good with your academics. Make sure you're solidified in that. And then once you're solidified in that, tack on, more leadership positions after. So just kind of like an overall thing, don't be too scared. It'll be okay. And just take it one step at a time, because pharmacy school can be kind of intimidating, I'm not gonna lie, and it'll also be a lot of work, but you kind of just have to take it as it comes and not, obviously it's good to think about, the future weeks, but also don't stress yourself out about the future weeks, because you kind of got to focus on what's happening now and make sure, you get all of that done. But yeah, I have a bunch of other videos that are sort of relating to this topic. If you're interested in any of them, I will link them all in the description box below. I'll put their title as well as the link to it, so you can just very quickly, head to the specific type of video you want. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. I hope this was helpful. I cannot believe in less than a month I will be going to Appy's, so that's crazy. I also just got my rotation schedule literally 2 days ago, so I found out I'm going to be doing internal medicine first, so yeah. But that's all I have for you. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you back again next week for another video. Bye!